Hello, welcome to part two of questions and answers with Mitch. Okay, sorry. Welcome to part two questions and answers with Mitch. I figured this would be a great way for me to just answer in detail because I answer some questions online on social media through comments or direct message, but it's like I can't really get too involved doing it that way. So the first question and answer episode I had a couple of days ago went well, and it was fun. Um, I had great questions, and I have great questions this time too. Um, so I'll get into it. The first one, someone in the EXJW community asked, "Does having facial hair change anything, or did it change how you worshipped?" And I would say it didn't. Okay, to me, it didn't change how you worship because I mean, we still do the same things. I think the biggest thing was the stigma that everyone had about facial hair being wrong. Like for so many years, we just couldn't have facial hair, and different areas of the United States I lived had different, even had different stipulations for like sideburns, how long they could be, and it was just always a fiasco to me. I never really liked it, especially when I saw other countries, brothers in other countries could have facial hair, and it felt like a man-made rule to me. So when it first came out, it was just this frenzy, and I remember it was an update, a governing body update, and my phone just started going crazy. Brothers asking, "Had I seen?" I'm like, "Not yet." Well, I'll let you look at it. I don't want to spoil it. And just this huge thing. And I watched it. And like I sat there, like in disbelief, almost shocked, because, like I said, for so many years, it was frowned upon. Their whole thing with the organization was you had to look different from the world. And many in the world have uh, beards and they look unkept. And, we want to be clean shaven, set apart as Jehovah's Witnesses. We're approaching people with the message of the Most High, and so you had this stigma to get rid of, and then it was just a pure excitement. Brothers just saying for years they've always wanted a beard, and like it seemed like everything was fine, but the way they always word things like is never definite, so it's a lot of parameters, which, in my opinion, um, sets it up for disunity. People in different congregations to push their opinions, push their ideals on what's proper, what's improper. And that exact thing came up. Um, like in the area I live, I'm not sure about other places, other United States, but up where I am, like brothers start growing beards. And at some point, um, because we all grow our beards at different rates, the ability to grow them, some brothers just started getting these big beards. Okay. And then they were like, well, it should be not too long, a proper length. And then, some of us are like, "Oh, here we go. Like, here comes the stipulations." Now, like, they say we can have a beard, but here come the brothers saying, "Oh, it can't be longer than this." And then, the part that gets me, the part about the worship with that, is you get the brothers with their personal ideas and opinions, and then here comes the alternate rule setting, or if you want to give a part, it can't be too shabby. And then you want to know a funny thing? That was a big discussion in the area I live in. Um, we could have beards, but they should be neat and trimmed, not too long. So we had our 1 day assembly. In fact, it was the last one I went to. Um, Last 1 day assembly I went to, and it was the one where we had the branch rep that came and gave a couple of talks. And keep in mind, this discussion slash debate had been going on um, in the area I live in, and the chairman introduces um, the branch rep, and it's his brother from the branch in New York, and he has like this thick full beard, like he's just been in the wilderness for like 3 months, and me and like some more like elders and ministerial servants, we're all just like looking at each other around the auditorium in the assembly, and it like that's the thing, is facial hair. Now I could see if you came in and you like ZZ Top, okay, but it's facial hair. We all grow it at certain lengths. We all have personal preferences, and whether we have facial hair or not, we're still able to do our assignments and to do, whatever things we had to do around the Kingdom Hall or the circuit. And so it's like that shouldn't dictate like how we serve or how we give parts or anything like that. It came down to personal preference from different brothers. And then you had these little man-made rules pop up until after that branch rep came. They were like, just, yeah. Like I remember it was like about 3 or 4 Kobe's around this area, and they were like, you know what? We don't even want to get involved with that crap. We can grow beards, whatever you want to do, whatever length. If you want a beard, if you want a goatee, like we are done with facial hair. Like it is like one of those things that was pushed on us for so long that for a lot of us old timers, it was kind of hard to hear and then to accept because it's what was put in here for so long, like so many decades. Like this was wrong, this was wrong. And then all of a sudden, one day we wake up, get a branch update, and whoa, it's not wrong anymore. And so I think that's where a lot of it comes in with the old school people. Um, Sometimes we had hard times letting go of things that they've drilled in our head for decades. But as far as like does facial hair affect the brother's ability to do things? No. It's it's just part of our appearance. For so long they told us we could have facial hair as a personal preference, but you're not gonna have privileges. Like you couldn't do the mics or you couldn't give parts. It's ridiculous. It's facial hair. But again, that's part of that high control cult environment. Like you were worried about things like facial hair and women wearing dresses and skirts over like teaching us something useful and beneficial about Christ or about different principles in the Bible. The principles in the Bible don't change. Concentrate on those, but instead they groomed an environment where we're all self-policing each other, and that just added to it. I went to growing up. Part of a guy growing up is like just excited that you're getting facial hair, and it's the peach fuzz at first, and then you start shaving, and you get the blotches of hair until it all connects. And when it all connects, you're excited because me and all my friends went through this. At some point, when it all connected, we would show up at the hall with stubble, and it's like your rite of passage, showing everybody you can grow facial hair, and like people would just come up to you like, "Oh, kind of rough," or Saturday morning, and overslept. I'm rushing, so I don't get left and ridiculed the rest of the weekend. Show up at the place wherever we're gonna do field service. Slightest amount of stubble. Oh, looking kind of rough, and that's just the environment that they bred. Self-policing and ridiculing others, judging others unnecessarily. Like for facial hair, it was dumb. When, as we all see now, brothers have beards and things still get done in that organization. So it was just another thing that they can highly control everyone. But yeah, in my opinion, um, hold on, some messages I look at and I'll be like, oh, I can get back with that. Other messages I see and I know my brain, and I'm like, I gotta get that now because I'll forget. But that's how I feel about facial hair. Like we could have had facial hair for years now, and it wouldn't have affected anyone's worship or ability to worship. And I'm glad that's gone, along with all the uptight dressing and grooming, like the dresses, skirts, neckties. Like, yeah. Okay. Next question: what parts of the religion? And it was kind of two parts. What parts of the religion did I agree with? And then, are there any parts of the religion that I miss? And I would say, and I've kind of touched on this before in some of my earlier videos, like I loved like reading from the Bible and like learning about God and about Jesus and like the different principles. Like I was fascinated even as a boy about like principles in the Bible. They don't change, and so that's what I like keyed in on, was just principles, and I could see how it made like myself and my family better by trying to live like we're not perfect, but trying to align yourself as best as you could as an imperfect human, with those principles in the Bible. Like I like that. I miss. Well, no, I'm still in the agree with. Um, I agreed with things that encourage clean living, like morally, more or less morally, because a lot of things when you move off of morals, a lot of it is just like personal decision and like however you have your conscience trained. But when it came to morals and respect in a family and how you treat people, and when I realized that people could see a difference uh, in me from like being nice, being honest, and then to me, even growing up, I'm like, oh, okay, that's helping me improve and helping with how people view me. So I agreed with all of that. I liked it. Growing up, I did not. You have a hard time with holidays, birthdays, being separate because you don't want to be seen as different. So I kind of didn't agree with that. I've always felt we rub shoulders at school or at work, and we're all responsible for our own spirituality. So like I always felt like you could you could be with people even if they weren't in the religion, like as long as they weren't too out there. That's how I always viewed it. Even at some of my jobs in my early 20s, like yeah, I would hang out with coworkers. We would like some of the jobs I had in sales. That's what they wanted to do to keep that team bonding together. We would go play softball or we would go eat. One time we all went to a comedy club, and I always tell my kids laugh about that story because this was in the early 90s. And so the job I'm at, we all decided we wanted to go to a comedy club. And they kept telling me who was going to be there, but it just wasn't clicking with me. And so, they had a couple comedians before he came out. And they said his name again, and I'm still just sitting there like, and he came out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's and the lady who worked with me sitting next to me, she was like, "Who is he? Who is he?" And I was like, "He's in that movie, House Party." And it was Martin Lawrence, like when he was just like first starting out. And so, like, it was fun. We didn't do anything crazy. It was just myself and the people I worked with. We would just do things occasionally, and I always just felt like you could hang with people and not be so strict. So I didn't agree with things like that, but I agreed with the morality of the Bible and the things we learned at meetings that dealt with morality. The things that I felt were more personal choices, my mind would then drift. Like I always felt like I knew this is what I felt. And even meeting people now, I see that we're just all different. But I felt being an adult and I was responsible for my own spirituality, that even if I chose to go out with someone who wasn't a witness, like I knew how to carry myself. And so, like those parts of that religion, I agreed with. And I like the things. This is transitioning to what do I miss? I miss the friends that we made because, like, I was born in Chicago. When I was an early teen, we moved to Houston, lived there for 6 years. Then I moved to Atlanta, and in all those places, we just had lifelong family friends. And I tell my kids and my wife now about the things we used to do. The gatherings we had. We would have watchtower studies over at our house. Now I just heard something where that might be not allowed anymore. Which, if that is true, that is sad because that's how we made connections in our congregation. That's how we got to know people. And I'm telling my family this, and they're like, "Man, it's not like that now." And I'm like, "No," but I miss the association and the friendships that I made. That where I could go to any place I've lived, and they would just take me in, like we haven't missed a beat. Like that part of that part of the association I miss because there's nothing like it. But like I said, if that's true that they can't do things like the way he worded it was you can't study with anyone outside of your family. And I haven't been in a while, but if that's the case, that is truly effing sad because one, like we're all individuals and free will. Why the hell can we not? And then, like I said, it was just a nice way to really get to know people. They always said, your brothers and sisters in the hall, are you willing to die for them? They would do that silly thing in some public talks. Look to the person to your left. Look to the person to your right. Would you die for them? But how can you get to that point if you don't know that person? You know? And so, yeah, my family, we would just have these watchtower studies and, everybody get there. We study. Afterwards, we eat, dance, play cards, whatever. And it was just nice to get to know people like that. And, you couldn't associate, you weren't supposed to associate with people outside of the religion. So it was nice just to have those type of relationships and friendships. They meant a lot. I mean, it was extra special, and that's more than likely why, because that's all we could associate with. So to have good friends like that, that was like priceless in that world. And yeah, it's like I said before, with the as far as the truth went, like I loved it. I loved every structure. I liked the organization because I'm someone who likes to plan. So I liked everything about it. Um, but the older I got, I just had questions, and now my issue isn't with Jehovah's Witnesses. We all do it. We want what we whatever we're going to do, we will do it. So I'm not trying to change anyone from being in that religion. But I know it's not for me, and my main gripe is with the governing body and their helpers and some of the elders, because not all elders are like the ones who I'm speaking out against. So yeah, I always have to make that clear that I'm not at war with the whole religion and everybody in it. Like no, I witnesses talk to me daily, and that again, I think that's because I respect them because I was them. I know what it's like to be truly devoted to it. So I don't down them. And I like how it can make people um, just, bring out the better qualities or have you work on things. That's the part of it I like. Yeah. And I don't miss all the meetings and I don't miss going out talking to strangers and showing up at their house unannounced. Like, if we're being truthful, I do not miss that at all. Yeah, that rigorous schedule was crazy. You always had to. It just felt like you always were doing something. I do not miss that. And I know you asked me what I miss, but I had to throw in what I do not miss at all. I like having a free schedule. Even when I first began not going, it felt like I was doing something wrong, especially like on Sundays or the day my midweek meeting was. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something, and then it clicked like ah. But now, yeah, Sunday is just another day. The Wednesdays, it's just a Wednesday, so it's nice not having to worry about all that crap. And you like, I- I've always felt I had a relationship with God and Christ. So when I stopped going, I didn't feel like my faith stopped. If that makes any sense, I still feel like I have a relationship with them. I don't need the governing body middleman for that. All right. Now this next question, this is a two-part also. It's what's the process to be appointed ministerial servant or elder? What's the process? And do I think Holy Spirit is really involved, especially he said with like if you take the cases in Pennsylvania where they're losing these court battles because they have predators, which most of these in Pennsylvania were elders or ministerial servants, and they were like doing bad things to children in the congregations. And so, yeah, do I feel like Holy Spirit is involved? But like the first part of that question, um, the process. So twice a year, you get the circuit overseer. Part of what he does, like on Friday or whenever they have body, the servant body meeting. That's where the ministerial servants and the elders they meet. He gives a talk. They dismiss the ministerial servants, and then they talk about elder business. And part of that is if they have any brothers that they recommend to be ministerial servant or elder, that's when they bring it up to the circuit overseer. Before that, they should have already gotten their names together. So, like 2 or 3 months before his visit, they have a elders meeting, and that's where they decide. Like they go over different brothers in the congregation. Their philosophy is who knows them better than their group overseer, the field service group overseer, um, and they all just talk about different brothers and who they recommend, and it has to be unanimous. So 2 or 3 months before the CO visit, the circuit overseer visit, they get that together. Circuit overseer comes when they have that elders meeting. That's part of what they talk about, and they discuss whatever they need to discuss. Before he signs off on it, he wants to talk to the brother. And I never, so the third time that I got appointed, um, I wasn't expecting it. The week of the visit, my wife even asked me, "Do you think you'll be recommended this time?" And I was like, honestly, no. Like, I don't. I still feel like it's things I need to work on. Like, I don't see it happening. And she asked, "How would that make me feel?" And I was like, "I don't care. Like, I'm doing things now around the Kingdom Hall where, like, I'm already doing a lot of stuff, so it wouldn't really matter to me." And so that Sunday, and this will show you how like elders how sneaky they are. So Sunday morning, I get a text from a secretary, and he's like, "Hey, you and your family gonna be meeting tonight, right? I mean, this afternoon, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll be there." Uh, I almost said his name. The circuit overseer um, wants to meet you and your family. Um, this is what he said, exactly what he said. Because I'm like, he wants to talk to me and my family. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, nothing bad, bro, nothing bad." He likes to get to know families in the circuit because his father wasn't a believer, and so he's big on families like serving together. So he heard about you all, and he just want to meet the whole family. And like I go back there, me and the family go back there, and he ask my wife questions, and he asked the kids questions. He's asking me questions, and then he asked me, I know you've went through your things, but they're telling me like how good you're doing now and what you're doing. Do you ever see yourself as a ministerial servant again? And I'm like, yeah, one day. Um, that's what I'm working towards, and I'm trying to show them, um, I pointed to the family that even if you get down and you think you're at your lowest point in your life, you can still like rise up and do great things again. And so I tell them like, yeah, one day I think I will be. So then he asked them, like, do you see your husband being a servant again? Like, how would that make you feel? She answered, and he asked the kids the same thing. I'm still just like, oh, this is weird. And so he said, okay, so it was so nice to meet you all. And if you don't mind, we're going to talk to dad for a few more minutes, but if you all can go wait in the car if you want to. And still like, this is kind of weird. Like, 'cause the previous two times it didn't happen like this. And so they go out, and he was like, it was so nice to meet your family. And um, was asking you these questions because you've been recommended to be a ministerial servant again. And like, it was overwhelming to me because in like 2018 and 2019, I went through a very, very rough period and made a bunch of like horrible mistakes. And so I had to work my way back up to where I was. And like when he told me that, I was just overcome with emotion because like I worked very hard to get back to where I was when I got deleted that time, the second time. So yeah, I was overcome with emotion and told him I wanted to. They ask you the two questions about if you were announced with anybody in the congregation, think it was a huge surprise or disagree with the decision, and also if you um, have been charged or convicted for anything to do with child crimes. And then they pray with you. And so my family and myself, we were going out to eat anyway. And I was kind of quiet on the way to the restaurant, and I just started telling them like what was said to me in there because they told me like, don't tell anyone else. We'll announce it at the midweek meeting. You can tell your family, of course. And I told them, and as I pulled up in the parking lot at the restaurant we were going to, like I told them I was recommended to be a ministerial servant again. I just broke down crying because like I worked my ass off to get back to where I was. And so that's the process to become a ministerial servant. Um, Again, if they're going to recommend you for an elder, they decide before the CL visit, and it's the same thing. They just tell him they recommend, we recommend so and so be an elder, and it goes from there. Now, the Holy Spirit part, because when I was young, yeah, I would give my father fits because I'm like, how can it be Holy Spirit and God don't talk to us? And I know my father got so damn tired of me asking stuff like that. But the older I got, I saw how they were spending it. Like, is a couple of places in the Bible where they're outlining qualities that a servant and an elder should have, like different qualities in their life that they should be displaying. And if a brother is aligning himself with those guidelines, they say God, like the scriptures are inspired from God. The Bible is written with Holy Spirit. And so if a brother is aligning himself with those qualifications listed in the Bible, then Holy Spirit is appointing these brothers. I see what they're saying, but my flaw with that was, and which I bring up in the hugest reason I don't like that organization, because they hide the child predators. A brother can, like, when they ask you that question, it's easy for someone to just lie. Like, no, I've never been in trouble or convicted or charged anything to do with a child. They ask you that because if you have been charged or convicted of something dealing with a child, you can't be a ministerial servant or an elder because that would give you opportunities to be alone with a child. So the first part of that I'll address is like they can't read hearts. So it's easy for someone to just, lie. Like, no, I don't have a problem with that. Never been charged, never been convicted. It's never happened. Now, like anyone can lie about that. And some of these cases they have. So I saw that flaw with it. Like in my mind, it couldn't be Holy Spirit because like they can't read hearts. And yeah, it's the second part of that is like I know firsthand that like if you are doing everything you're supposed to do and you have the appearance of being who you say you are and they're backing up everything that you're doing that's positive, it's easy to become a servant. Like the first two times that I became a ministerial servant, like the first time when they told me I was recommended, like I'm in there sweating bullets, like nervous because I knew I wasn't living right completely, and it was like bothering my conscience. But they ask you that question, would anybody be shocked if you were, announced to be a ministerial servant, or are there any reasons you wouldn't accept it, the recommendation? And, you're like a deer in headlights. Like, no, everything's fine. I'm good. So, I know firsthand you can still be appointed, but not be doing everything you should be doing, or you could be dabbling in things that you shouldn't be dabbling in. So the first time it was the late '90s. That was the first time I got appointed, and I've told my wife and I've told elders like I should not have been a ministerial servant at that time. And eventually it comes out, like who we are on the inside comes out eventually, and that's whether we're like good or bad. The second time was like I want to say like 2016, 2015, 16, something like that. And I was a lot better than the first time. Like I was really, really trying to improve myself. I did things why I had certain tendencies to do things that were wrong. So like I took steps to get that figured out so that I could continue to self. So I felt good the second time, but I was just like, it was still a couple of things that I could have kept on working on, but I still got a point. you know. So again, I'm just saying that anyone, if you say the right things and you're doing the right things that they're looking for, you can be appointed. And then the third time, um, and I told my wife before, like when I was working towards it, I told her whenever I got appointed again, I wanted it to be where I had a clean conscience, where I could look them in the eyes when they asked me those questions. And I'm like, you know, 100% truthfully, like, yes, I deserve this. Like, I worked my butt off. I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, I told her that's what I was working towards. And like, that's part of the other reason I got emotional. When they told me I was recommended the third time is because like I had worked my butt off so that I could just have a clean conscience when they told me when I got recommended again. And yeah, and I was like I said, I was doing great. Um, the only reason I stopped being one then is because I stepped down. That's when you tell them you don't want to be a servant anymore. Um, and I went through a lot of like trauma and grief, and it just wasn't in me anymore. I was Pimo, but I was tired of that fake smile, and um, yeah, I stepped down. It took 3 times, and the third time I was just pretty blunt and told him it wasn't up for discussion. I wasn't gonna put it on ice, as they say, and wait a little bit longer. Like I'm done. Like it is over. I'm not. I don't want to be a ministerial servant anymore. So, I left on my own terms. I didn't get deleted, and I walked away from that religion. So, yeah, to answer, that's how appointments work. And they say if you check those boxes of the scriptures with the qualification, you, um, you, a lot of us aren't squeaky clean when we accept recommendation. I'll just put it like, all right. Someone asked, they said that like sisters are always counseled on things like skirts, how long they should be, or wearing hair, or that's too much makeup, or those heels are too high. Like she said, sisters always have had stipulation. So she wanted to know uh, what are men counseled on, like things we say or things we do. And like I'll just say it's no different. Uh, like how sisters feel they're looked at, like men are looked at like that too. I wore a this I was like 21 or 22. Life was good in the early 90s, and Prince was out, and he's like killing the charts. So me and my friends, we went and got matching purple suits, and I thought it was weird. I had that suit, the purple suit, and then I had a cream color suit, but the jacket wasn't a traditional like suit coat. It was the same material as the slacks, but how it looked, it just looked like a regular jacket that you might wear in the spring or fall. So I thought it was weird how every time I had like stage or a microphone, the brother over sound would always tell me like, hey, you've been working a lot lately. I'm gonna give you a break today. You go ahead and enjoy that meeting. And so, like, the first 2 times, I'm like, "Oh, that's weird." And then the 3rd time he said it, I'm like, "Look, like, why?" I always know when people BS me, and I'm like, "Why can't I pass the mic like I want to?" And I was honest with him. I said, "It helps me stay awake during the watchtower. Like, why can't I pass a mic?" And he was like, "Man, between me and you," the presiding overseer was like, "He don't want you doing anything when you're wearing that purple suit or that jacket that's not a traditional suit coat." And I was like, "Are you serious?" And he was like, Yeah." Like, he came and told me, "When you wear if you suit or the cream suit, and if you on the list to do anything, like, don't have you do it." And I'm like, "That dirty son of a." Now the presiding overseer was my father, so my own pops was hating on me. But that's just how it is, man. They, like, look at everything, like how you dress, your facial hair, what type of car you drive. Is it a car that shows you're selfish, or is it a car that shows you put spiritual interests first and it's good for field service? You know, and they look at a brother's field service time because, excuse me, if you are a brother in the congregation and you want to do anything, when we wrote down our hours that we did each month, it had to be at or above national average. They would say that's the national average. So we feel that's not too much to ask for a brother who's reaching out for privileges to meet the monthly average. And it always averaged between 9 or 10 hours a month for publishers. That was like the average nationwide here in America. And they just made it 10, That was like the unwritten rule. So they looked at you like if you're a brother, they look at that when we would record the hours. Now we just do a checkbox. But they do a checkbox. But it's like they judge you about that too. Like if you let 2 or 3 months go by and you put in like 5 or 6 hours, but you have privileges like you do mics or you do platform, you're gonna get a tap on the shoulder and they're gonna tell you like, you're doing great, but we've noticed um you kind of slip below national average. And if you're doing things around the hall and have certain privileges, you're expected to be out in the ministry a lot. So, and they always ask you, is there a reason? Um, is there a problem? Are you struggling with something? And like they look at you about that too. Now that it's a checkbox, they just want, like, one elder told me, he was just like, as long as a brother, for him, as long as a brother was out like 2 or more times a month. So it's always a stipulation, always something that they're watching you on. If you have a family, um, they are always going to be up your ass about your family and their field service, their meeting attendance. And if they notice something off, that's a tap on the shoulder. And you got to talk to a brother or two about your family, um, your work. If you, like I had a sales job and it bothered a couple of elders because they were like, "Oh, sales, you're rubbing elbows and you got to go for dinner and drinks with clients." And it, like, what I'm saying is, yes, I know the females got critiqued and looked at a lot, but the brothers did too. Um, and then you give parts and you get critiqued for that. You'll get to counsel from the brother on the stage, but like you might get other comments of them telling you how you can do better and keep on progressing. And It's just always something. When you become a servant and an elder, it's even more stipulations and more eyes looking at every little thing you do. Like, I like social media and like I just enjoy it. And like I would just post one night, I posted a friend told me about a whiskey that I had never tried. So I got some, took a picture of the bottle and some in the glass, tap on the shoulder. You can post anything you want. It's your right. Just keep in mind you're a servant and people look up to you. So, what do they say if they see you have a picture of alcohol? I said, it's going to say, I like whiskey. Like, leave me alone. And like, it's just things like that. Like, I think that contributed to a lot of my depression and anxiety when I was part of that. Because whatever you do, it will never be good enough. Like, that's just the straight up truth. And that's whether you're female, male, a child, um, whatever you do in that cult will never be enough. So you always get talked to, you always get counseled. That's even their rule. Not, I wouldn't say rule, but that's what they go by. Always give the friend something to work on. That's their viewpoint. Commend them for what they're doing, but there has to be something they can work on. That's how one seal worded it in our meeting. There has to be something they can be working on. Like, so, yeah, no matter if you're female or male or a child in that organization, don't worry. You're going to get some counsel. Uh, this one, how many are in the organization? So it's like, I've seen so many numbers like this the past 6 months. Um, because everyone they were saying like, 8 million. And then like some people would pop up, active witnesses would pop up on some of my posts and they would be like, 9 million of us can't be wrong. And I'm like, where are they getting 9 million from? And I looked on the website and that was for 2024. That's what they have on the website. That it like just surpassed 9 million for the 2024 service year. And okay, where I have an issue with that is like I know them and they will take what they do is take the highest month of that service year and give you that peak number. And peak means active, like the highest number in a month uh, that had the most active witnesses, meaning out in the ministry. Now, they can have peaks for different reasons. Um, some are because the circuit officer visits, and when the CO visits, they drop the pioneer hours. I think you can do either 15 hours or 30, like when the CO visits. And then if they have a special campaign, they'll drop the pioneer hours again. But if you have like a campaign or a CO visit, and I would say for it to be like a worldwide peak, it would have to be that campaign. I know they had one. It was another doomsday campaign they had about the end coming. Um, they probably took the peak number from that month and said, "Oh, we have like a little over 9 million now." But things happen, and I I know since then, it's so many people that have either walked away got disfellowship or disassociated themselves. A person I know, she actually went to a convention like it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and she took video like of the arena, like so many empty seats, and it was a weekend. Because usually, at the convention, like Friday was the kind of slow day because some people still might be working, and Saturday and Sunday were your high days, the high count days. That arena, it was a weekend day, and that arena was empty. Like so many empty seats in between friends. And, like you can't tell me that they are losing people, and it's showing by the things that they're like the way they're moving, and things that were wrong for so long, and now all of a sudden, oh, we have new light. It's okay. You can wear beards now. Women can wear pants and no neckties. You don't even have to wear a suit coat. And I think what's happening, and someone made a great point. They were like, in the generations that we came up in, people rarely pushed back or said anything. Um, Couple that with like we didn't have social media. We couldn't just jump on a smartphone and see what different people around our country are saying. Not only our country, but around the world. Like it's in the palm of our hands. And like I think those two things, like younger generations who think more and ask more, plus social media, I think it's just waking people up. And for whatever reason, people are just leaving, either walking away, disassociating themselves, or getting disfellowshipped and not coming back. And I highly, highly doubt that it's over 9 million active. It can be people who still say they're with it. They don't attend meetings. I call them memorial people. They might show up for memorial, have their "Don't Give Me Blood" card, and you ask them, "Oh, I'm a Jehovah's Witness," but active witnesses, I highly doubt that it is 9 million. They are losing people and try to play damage control by calling it new light, but yeah, highly doubt it's 9 million. There are more non-witnesses around the world than there are active witnesses. They don't like to hear that, especially the active witnesses that jump on my post. They hate hearing it. They usually call me Satan or say they can't wait to see me die in Armageddon. Sucks for them, it'll never happen. All right. Then this brings me to what do I think about the hearing and the clinking of glasses? Like, what's behind that? And that goes into what I was just saying about the organization. That's part of, I think, what they are trying to offer. And I think it's a deflection. I think there is a lot of publicity right now, thank goodness, about the CSA cases and the predators within congregations that are being protected, and the database of perverts that they have at headquarters of who are in these congregations. And it's being brought to light by court cases that they're losing, and court cases that they have to settle out of court on and pay victims multi-millions of dollars. And I think they are trying to play damage control, one, from people hearing about these cases they're losing, but then you have ex-witnesses like me who just are relentless in posting, and I'm posting factual documents from courts, and I'm posting video clips of their top attorney at the headquarters being caught in a lie and having to pay over $150,000 for lying on affidavits twice. And so all these things come into light because, like I said again, social media in the palm of our hands, they have to play damage control. And I think they give the cult members different things to try to take their minds off of the reality of the organization, and two, to keep them quiet and satisfied and pacified. And like I can see the beards and the dressing grooming thing, but and I was laughing about this with somebody else. In over 50 years of being in that religion slash cult, I have had people voice their um, unhappiness with some of the dressing grooming stipulations or about facial hair, or we have too many meetings, or we're always busy, or it seems like they're always criticizing us. The list can go on and on. I've had plenty of those conversations. In over 50 years, not once have I had somebody come up to me and be like, Mitch, why can't I toast? Like, I think they threw the most useless thing at the sheep to get them to forget about what's happening. Because when the governing body gives the sheep like a change in a rule that they've been pushing for decades, like the blind sheep get excited and they get in a frenzy. You know how if you've watched nature shows when a shark, they say it like be a drop of blood, and a shark can be miles away going to frenzy towards that blood. To me, that's how like active witnesses are when the governing body throw them a bone. Oh, you can grow a beard. They went crazy. Oh, you can wear slacks. Sisters going out buying pantsuits looking like Hillary Clinton, you know? And um, you don't have to turn in field service time, just check a box. Oh. And then, like, that one just totally caught me off guard. When I first saw it, I actually thought it was a joke. And so I had to go look for myself. And I was like, oh my goodness, this shit is real. And yeah, I think they had to throw them a bone. And I don't associate with anyone now. I've shunned everyone, so I don't know if it was a big frenzy. I do know I will. This is what I would do. I would use my critical thinking. If you see on the screen, it says free thinker. I'm going to use my free thinking and go out on a limb. Witnesses, I will say, most witnesses like to drink. Most witnesses will drink a little too much. So I will go out on a limb and say, I think they probably had a frenzy about this too. Since there's so many drinkers in that organization, you have to drink your depression away. And so they probably were happy about it. And I just think, like I always say, governing body, they use a lot of smoke and mirrors to deceive the blind sheep. And I just think it was something just, dangling that carrot in front of them. Oh, look what we did. We've decided that this isn't bad. And that for years, like they just had you mortified to think about toasting. It was pagan. It had something to do with evil spirits. And, for years they just pushed that, pushed that, pushed that. And all of a sudden, wake up one morning, we decided it's okay. It's up to your Christian conscience. So to me, that leaves open, if that's up to my Christian uh, conscience, then why can't birthdays be up to me? And if I want to celebrate a little Thanksgiving, like, why can't that be up to me? I want to get some gifts. I want to give some gifts in December. Like, why can't that be up to my Christian conscience? So it like, to me, they dangled the carrot, but they've also opened up more dialogue. And I know it has to be, I hope they all aren't brain dead. It have to be some wondering, like, if something they stood for over a century, that it was wrong, and they can flip it just like that. Why can't they flip other things? It has to be some active witnesses thinking that. I hope there are. They discourage you to think, and they discourage you to look up information on your own. But I hope there are some rebels that will be joining us soon. I hope there is. But yeah, I just think cheers and clinking, I just think it was something they just gave to distract the masses, to try to stop the bleeding, because they're losing people. And with them, it's all about money. So, if there aren't butts in the seats, there aren't contributions trickling to headquarters. So that's what I think it was about, is just trying to keep the pacified, uh, keep the sheep pacified, so that they won't notice other things going on, such as them losing court case, paying out millions and millions of dollars to victims. And then the last question, this one had me laughing because for some reason I was like getting questions from all my different social media accounts. For some reason, something in my head was like, go check your Facebook group one more time, because I made a private Facebook group for ex witnesses and also PMOs. In case anyone is new or wondering what that is, when I say PMO, it's an acronym, mentally out. For whatever reason, you still have to go to meetings and be a witness, but mentally you're checked out. And so I made that group. And so something told me to go, and this question was on there, and I told her, I was like, "Oh, you just made the cut," because I was about to record, and she wanted to know, have I always cursed, or did I start when I stopped going? And I think that is a great question, because, and I kind of gave her a little short answer in the group, but for me, I say curse words in my videos and on my podcast. Some will trickle out. For me not to be saying a hell of a lot more curse words takes a lot. I've been a serial cursor since second grade. Like, I have a temper, I have a potty mouth. I work on it very hard. Um, when I gave parts at the Kingdom Hall, like, I would have thoughts in my head, and I had to work very hard with my filter in between here. I would have to work hard so I wouldn't slip and say a curse word on stage, because, like, sometimes I'm like, I have a part, and I might have to call on someone in Zoom, on that's on Zoom, to comment. So I'm standing up there trying to smile, that they see me on camera, like I'm listening and shaking my head. And, comments were supposed to be like around 30 seconds. And, like, some people going on like a minute. And in my head, I'm like, oh my goodness, would they like shut F up, or why in the hell are they still commenting? And then, I have to make sure that doesn't come out here. And so it's just always something I've like always worked on. It did not like I don't want people to think as soon as I stopped going to meetings, like I just started cursing like a sailor. Like, no, this has just been me. Um, a matter of fact, before I left, before I walked away, um, I was inebriated, should not have been texting. I have a temper. And so you can see where this is leading. I sent someone a message, and as soon as I hit send, I felt deep regret, like through my phone, and I'm just upset. Like, what the hell did I just do? And the very next day, that person had like screenshot what I sent them and sent it to an elder. And like it was just it was bad. Like so many curse words. And the brother who called me, he was like, Mitch, like the words I'm seeing here, like, do you think somebody just like pretended to be you? Like, cause I just don't see you saying any of this. Like, I'm shocked. And like for like 3 or 4 seconds, the me was like, you know what, I can run with that. Yeah, somebody pretended to be me. But I was like, I've always like used to tell my parents, if I'm an adult and I got in trouble, I would face up to it, which I have. Each time I've been in trouble, I went and told my like I've told on myself. Pretty much walked up to an elder after the meeting and like I need a committee meeting, and like their mouth hit the floor. But it's like that's just how I am. And so in that split second when I was thinking, I was just like, nah, like I know I'm on my way out anyway. And I just told him like, no, that was me. Lost my temper. Shouldn't have sent it. And I'm a ministerial servant, so I'm just like, whatever the body decides, I will go with it. And um, they pulled me in to the back room after a midweek meeting, and two elders were talking to me, and they chose one of the most straight laced, innocent elders to talk to me. It was him and my another elder buddy of mine, and my buddy kind of he knows my past and my temper and everything. The innocent elder didn't. And he's just looking at his iPad at the screenshot of what I wrote. And he's like, Mitch, I'm just shocked. Like, you talk like this? Like, where did you learn it? Like, it's like the way it flows. It's just like you've been doing this for years. And I'm like, I have been. I say you all know this version of me, but when I was younger and crazier, lived in Atlanta and had a temper, like it was bad. My language. So I told them it was something I always worked on. I said where I live now, like no one knows my past of well, like two or three elders did who I told how I used to be in the past, but like that was just me. Um, I've always worked on cursing. We'd be playing sports like in Georgia with a bunch of brothers, and yeah, somebody did something to me I didn't like, or would do something to one of my friends or um, my brother. Then yeah, words would start flying, and if not fists, and that was just me. I've always worked on it, so yeah. Please do not think that I stopped being an active witness and my life went to hell and now all I do is curse. No, I've been a bad cursor since second grade. That's just who I am. I still try to temper it because I don't like sometimes, especially like it worked up in one of these videos. Like I might say a word here or there, but for the most part, I try to keep it reined in because I know a lot of people, especially being ex-witnesses, you're not used to cursing. You might be better than I was and not curse at all. So I try to keep it reined in. I even told my wife, I was like, "Do you know how hard it is to not even curse?" So it's just me. Did not start when I stopped being a witness. That's just we all have things that we've always worked on, and that was always one of mine. But I hope that I never offend anyone. Like I say, I try to keep it reined in. Sometimes I just have to because someone may say something to me that just rubs me the wrong way. But yeah, I'm just me. So I have enjoyed these questions. They're like fun to answer your questions, and I think it gives you more of a window into who I am as well. And I also hope that I'm like explaining and showing you all different functions and procedures of the congregation so you can like fully know and understand and pick up on things that I saw that I may have thought were wrong. Like, I hope I'm providing that for you as well. Uh, to just reiterate that we've made the correct decision in leaving that cult. But yeah, if you have any comments or questions, please email me at exjdub1 at gmail.com. It's EXJDUB number one at gmail.com. You can reach me on most social media platforms. Just look up XJDub, EXJDUB, and I should pop up. But especially catch me on TikTok and YouTube because that's where I'm most active on those two. But I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Reddit. Reddit has a huge um, ex Jehovah's Witness group. It's over like 110,000 of us. So I'm on there too. XJW. Um, but yeah, just everybody keep up the good work. Send me more questions. This is fun. Send me questions like these. And if you want to get deeper or need to know the real deal about something, send me questions for my subscription premium plus podcasting because there now I will curse on there and speak more freely on there because it's more of a monitored environment. Um, so yeah, I'm enjoying these question and answers, and I look forward to doing the third one very soon. Y'all have a great day.